What's the secret of change? We don't fight the old. Instead, we focus on building the new. Welcome to the Table of Change. Come on in and have a seat at our table.
It's another Tuesday. You know that's my favorite line because the Tuesday, they just come so fast every week. But it is such a pleasure. Tomorrow we are on again. It's another week and I am excited all over again on Table of Change.
Oh, Jackie, I just love that energy. But every Tuesday, bring us one step closer to November, one step closer to December. But I'm going to give good praise and glory in it. Tonight, we have for you our listening guest tonight on Table of Change. You're going to sit down, relax, and enjoy. It's going to be a powerful show tonight, as always. The person we have in studio with us tonight, he was born in Hard Hill on the island of Aclips. He's a graduate of St. Anne's High School. He has a Bachelor degree of Science. He also has a law degree, a teacher certificate. He is married to Blesley Gray and is a proud father and grandfather. On Table of Change, we have a man that's worn so many caps, but let me just name a few. Teacher, Family Island Administrator, Commissioner, Abaco, Grand Bahama, Crooked Island, Acklands, and Exuma. He was called to the bar in 1980, a member of Parliament, a cabinet minister, a diplomat, a high commissioner of the Bahamas to Canada. In tonight, on Table of Change, it's an honor. It is a privilege to have with us tonight His Excellency, V. Alfred Gray.
Welcome, Mr. Gray.
Well, good evening. Good evening, lady hosts, and good evening, Bahamas.
Good evening is true. We were so excited that you accepted the invite to be on the show because, you know, Mr. Gray, you have so many different hats that you've carried over the years. But I had to think that all of these caps are somehow linked to customer service, from being a teacher, administrator, commissioner, and now a diplomat. Could you share with us how important is service?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for having me on your show, and I hope that I can add to the debate. Customer service, when the phrase is used, is usually considered to be in the hotel industry. Mm-hmm. And generally speaking, how you serve and interact with your guests, either at the table or otherwise. But customer service is a global term. Mm-hmm. And in my view, it applies to every aspect of what you do, mm-hmm. as long as you interact or being involved with people. And you offer a certain kind of service to those people. There is a degree of customer service, in my view, which is attached to any involvement with the public or even just with another person.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you say that because we are of the same opinion in terms of giving service. You know, in teaching, you gave a service to your students. But I'm sure there are attributes of each one of those careers that, you know, intertwine. And coming to the fruition of that, what would you say? Would you call yourself service-oriented or service-minded in the fields that you operated in?
Well, it depends. Excuse me. It depends on what I do. And everything I have done in my life so far was in the element of serving others, mm-hmm. whether that had been when I was teaching, even in my legal practice, I interact with people. and I give service to the people with whom I interact, or even the general public as a politician. So customer service is a global term, and it does not mean serving just one other person at a table or in an office. I think customer service, as I want to term it, is the way you interact with the customer that is in front of you, whether it's in a restaurant, whether it's in a law firm, whether it's in a business meeting. Customer service, in my view, is a term which is connected with service and service to people. They may be a paying customer, they just might be a friendly customer paying nothing, but the term customer service must always apply because courtesy is the essence of giving proper service to one or the general public.
When we spoke earlier, I kept hearing it echoed out. You kept saying nation builder. What exactly do you mean when you say nation builder?
Well, for me, a nation builder is a person who is or has given himself to serving the people of a country, and that's where the nation builder comes in. Once you give yourself to service in the life of a country, I consider you a nation builder, giving service to your nationals in whatever sphere you may find yourself giving such service.
When I looked at the road that Minister Gray took, like he started off being a teacher, which tells me that when I speak of him as a nation builder, I think of he started from small kids until they grew up and build a nation. And so he'll be someone that people will never forget. I'm sure that he have people saying, Minister Gray, that he can't even remember. So he started from the beginning and he's still doing it now. He just kept building and building. And it is so amazing how, and when we try to put in customer service with this, customer service is in the church. It's in the workplace. It's with your children. It's with your husband or with your wife. And me knowing Minister Gray, I can say you put in the service even with your family, your children. I've met your children and they are so humble. I mean, I was so amazed because I'm just thinking, some children who were brought up having whatever they wanted. How did you manage to have them to be so respectful?
Well, let me just say, if you will permit me, I was born in Hard Hill, and I grew up in the belly of poverty.
Wow.
I slept on a rock with cloth being put on it as a pillow in Auckland. And so my being what God has blessed me to be today has been a long road. But every step I took, somebody or somebody's helped me to get where I am right now. And so I don't claim any special favor. I know God has favored me, and so I would be lying if I told you anything else other than everything I put my hand to in life, God has blessed me with success.
Wow.
Everything. And so I that's why I give back so much, because the blessings he gave me, I'm sure he gave me to share with others, whether that is teaching, whether it's the legal profession, whether it's, as I am now, a diplomat. Everything the Lord has done for me, he has given me the ability and the will to share it with others. And that's what I do.
You know, Minister Gray, I'm going to touch, like you said, the Lord has blessed you. And you spoke about how you slept on the rock. And so Bahamas, we are hearing it from a nation builder that the road is not easy, but there's no room for giving up. Have you ever felt at any point in your life that you wanted to give up on your journey?
No, no, I can't honestly say mine. I have been to points of discouragement, but I never inwardly ever felt that I could not do it. And that's why whatever I try to do, I persist, because I believe at the end of the road, I will get the success that I work for. And so, no, I never felt like giving up, other than when the work gets hard.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you say, man, why am I doing this? Because, you know, when I studied law, or even when I went to the teachers college, there were times when I felt, why am I doing this? I could just go fishing and do that without studying. I could just be a good fisherman. But there were some things in my head that kept me moving forward towards the goal that I had set for myself. And so I say fishing because I love fishing. And I believe I could have made just as good a living going fishing. But there were some things that I wanted to do to help other people. And that's why I started my professional career as a teacher. Because I always believe that when you mold the lives of children,
Mm-hmm.
it lives with them and you forever. I'm a senior citizen now, if I could say that. And every day I go on Bay Street or the mall, people still refer to me, but not by my name. They just say, "Hi, teacher."
Wow.
"Hi, teacher." So that's how they remember me. I haven't taught for probably more than maybe 30 years, 40 years, but they still see me as their teacher. And they are professionals, lawyers and doctors, but they still see me as their teacher. And I'm proud to react to that name,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no better profession, in my view, than being called a teacher.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. You guys don't forget to call in now. The numbers to call in if you have any questions for the Excellency Alfred Gray. You're going to call into 325-5403. And then you're going to also toll free on the Family Islands. You have 300-8255. Mr. Gray,
Yes, ma'am.
so many camps, so many lessons. Could you share with us a moment when you felt you did a superior job, or you just felt proud within yourself, an accomplishment, and any facets of any one of these roles?
To be honest with you, I don't have a particular liking for all of the things I did. I love them all, and that's why God has measured or given me a measure of success. As I may have indicated earlier, I started as a teacher, professional, went to the Bahamas Teachers College, and I served in that role for a couple of years, and then I became a Family Island commissioner or Family Island administrator. I served for some years in that capacity. And then, of course, I entered public life as a member of parliament. And I served in that role for more than 20 years. And then of course, during that time, I served as a cabinet minister for 10 years. And so my road to where I am had ups and downs, but there was never a time when I felt that I couldn't do what God has put in my life to be done.
You know, Tamara, he's just not going to change his story, because I think he was just walking in the path that the Lord had set for him, and he did it gracefully. And sometimes you can be put in a position, but if you are at peace and you accept what you're doing then, then he doesn't even have a story that discouraged him at any time, which tells a lot about his personality. It tells a lot about him just doing what it is he was set out to do. For 20 years as a member of parliament, you must have been doing some great things in your constituent. Was it the same constituent that you were in?
No, I had two constituencies during my life as a politician. I started out in Golden Gates in Nassau. I had one term there, which was 5 years. And then I was catapulted to the Michael constituency, where I served for another 15.
We do have a question for you, Mr. Gray.
Okay.
The question that was sent in via Zoom is basically at growing up in Ackland, who was the person that inspired you to know that there was more and bigger and maybe better on the horizon? What inspired you growing up in Ackland? Was it a teacher? Who came in your path that really gave you the inspiration?
Well, to be honest, my mother.
Wow.
I grew up without a father in my house, and my mother was mother and father to me. And so everything I am, I owe it to my mother. She's now dead, but I can tell you that there has never been, perhaps will never be, another person to take her place, because she molded me into almost everything that I am, without exception. She died when I was a cabinet minister. So if you understand that, you will see that all the steps that I had taken up to that point, she was my mentor, teacher, everything, because I had no father in my home. I never met my father until I was 16. And so I say that to say my mother had been all that I had. And right now she is in the grave, my hero.
Mm-hmm.
And I make no apologies for that.
So, Minister Gray, you said that you grew up in a single home. And, many times on the show, or if you listen to people talking, they always talking about, a single parent. They feel like because you're a single parent, the children are not going to be raised right. But we try to tell them that's really not it. A single parent can do just of a great job as a parent, as a family with two parents in a home. And you are living witness of that. And so that's really, really commendable. It's all up to the individual. And you actually lived it out. Nation builder indeed.
That's extraordinary.
The parents could only teach their children. At some point, it will be up to the child or those children to remember what mommy said or remember what daddy said. Because the precepts that they gave or imparted to you, it should be for life living. And so there shouldn't be a day when what they taught you when you were a child is not put into practice. My mother died 20 years ago almost. But everything I do, I wondered if mommy will be happy if she knew I did this. So that's still the effect she has on me right now. I still think if mommy knew I did this, how would she feel?
Wow. So it's a matter of choice.
That keeps me a little straight. Not perfect, but kind of keep me straight.
Wow.
Jackie, I always wonder. Listening to Mr. Gray talking, I think of my grandmother. And I really regret not asking more questions in terms of these women were so powerful. Meager education, but it's like they had all the facts and they had all the tools that they needed for life. And we as women, Jackie, we look back and I want to make sure I hone in on those qualities and wish I had more conversation. Because Mr. Gray, give me 2 characteristics of your mother that you think made her such a successful mother in your life. What are the 2 characteristics that you stood out from with her?
Well, my mother was, first of all, very humble and honest.
Wow.
If it's only two, because I could go on, but humble, humility, and honesty. She was poor, but those two things stuck with me as I grew up with her. She was honest and she was humble.
But you see how those characteristics is what you needed in basically all aspects of your life. Every cat you wore required you to be honest and to be humble. Because right now we're addressing you as His Excellency D.V. Alfred Gray. Some people
Well,
may go to their head.
that just make me humble, because I know it's not because I am excellent, but it's what people expect of me that gave me that title to be attached to my name. Because there's nothing excellent about me, but people expect excellence from me, hence the title Excellency. So it ain't about you. It's what people expect of you that gave you that title.
We do have a question via Zoom, sir. How do you balance your life, being so busy at your job and your occupation with your family? How did you find that balance between work and family?
Well, if I can just use 1 second to say that I have 5 children, and I had to work to take care of them and put them through universities. So I think if I were to be honest, their mother, my wife, was the anchor that kept that ship steady, because I had to work. And so I wasn't always there. When I wanted to be there, I had to go and see what I can do to make sure that they stay in university or college or high school or whatever. And the truth be told, I never had a child that went to public school, because the Lord always provided for me to pay for them to get the best education that was available. Not to say that the public schools are not giving good education. Please don't misunderstand that. But the concept for me at the time was that if I can get a class with 15 students, my child might have a better chance than a class with 25 students. And that's the concept that I held very close to me. So my choosing private schools was because I believe the private school class is smaller, and it gives a greater chance for a student who is willing to learn, because the ratio of student to teacher is usually smaller in the private sector. So they all went to private schools.
I have a question.
I went to public school, though.
Sorry.
And I don't think I turned out too bad.
you turned out...
Not to brag, right?
No, you turned out too good. So there's a question. This question is, they want you to please walk them through when you were a teacher. They would like to know the tools that you had to work. Can you walk them through the times when you were in the classroom? They want to compare it with today.
Well, a teacher is a teacher is a teacher. I'm not sure there is any disparity between teaching today and teaching then. I think the challenges are greater, because I don't know whether the children who are being taught today represent the students when I was teaching, because they didn't have all the distractions and company. And, if you ever turn your head when the teacher's talking, you're going to get whacked. Now you could be on your cell phone when they talk, and there ain't nothing they could do, because the law say you can't touch them.
Wow.
So times have changed, but I do not believe that there should be any difference between the learning situation today as it was at that time when I taught. Because I started to teach in 1972. And believe it or not, I do not believe that there is any greater advantage today than it was then, even though they have more technical facilities and all of that. Most of the students who came through that era are now managers of corporations. And see, it isn't where you went to school. is how you applied yourself to the learning situation.
Well, you know,
Because plenty parents, if I could say, spend thousands of dollars sending their children to this college and that college, and they come back pregnant.
yes.
Ain't learn ABC. And that's not a bad thing if you come back pregnant. I'm not saying that.
Yes,
But
yes.
it's an application to where and what you have been asked to do. Some come back with nothing, zero, because they chose a path that led them there. So you have to be focused when you have an opportunity, whether it's abroad, whether it's in Nassau, whether it's in the you have to be focused on what you are called to do at that time and do it to the best of your ability. Because everybody will never go to college, but everybody can learn something.
You know, I know that we have
That
to
is
go to
so
a
right.
break tomorrow. And I just
That
want to
is-
remind
I
the
just-
listening audience about the phone number that they can call, which is 325-5403, toll free 300-8255. And Minister Gray, before we take a break, I know I'm gonna set the question now. What legal protection and recourse does a customer have when receive bad service? So I'm going to let you think while we go on a break. You know, every business have a vision statement. Every business have a mission statement. You know, they have to put these things together before they can get a business license. I want you to think about this, and we're going to talk about this one when we get back. Why in most business places we don't see that happen? What can customers do to keep them accountable to their commitments? After the break, we'll be right back on Table of Change.
Whatever should be expected of an insurance company is exactly what you'll find at Harvest Insurance Brokers. And right now is a great time to sign up for automobile, home, group, or life insurance policies. But at this moment, what's really amazing is their newly introduced National Workers Healthcare Insurance Plan, which is a strong and concise medical package designed for retirees or those entering retirement, starting from as low as $275 per month. Harvest Insurance Brokers, located Dowsville and Armstrong Street. Dial 326-808445.
Quality in a service is not what you put into it. It is what customers get out of it. And Table of Change gives us customer service at its finest.
To sponsor Table of Change, I need you to reach out and call 449-9106. Table of Change is a show geared around customer service and how we are of service to others. For sponsorship, 449-9106.
Tune in to Tamara Fox-Smith and Jacqueline Fernando-Moxie for Table of Change. Table of Change, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. right here on the National Voice of the Bahamas.
Welcome back on Table of Change. We have with us tonight our guest, His Excellency, the V. Alfred Great Diplomat. Table of Change, we are back. Minister Gray, I don't know if you remember the question. If you need me to repeat it, I will be happy to.
Well, could you repeat it for me, please, just so that I get it right?
Okay. What legal protection and recourse does consumer have when receiving bad service?
Well, that's a big question. I hope to answer it as briefly as I could. When, in my view, whenever you ask anyone to do anything for which they're being paid, it becomes a contract. It does not have to be in writing, but as long as they're being paid to do it and they don't do it correctly, there is an avenue open for you to sue them for negligence or breach of contract.
Wow.
Because if I pay you to do a certain job and you did not do it right, so that the thing for which I paid you does not work or does not work the way it should, then obviously you did not do the thing for which I paid you.
Wow.
And so I can take you to court for negligence because you break the contract between me and you to give me this product for the money I paid you.
Wow.
Whether it's service or a product, same thing. A contract could be a service contract or a contract where you build something for someone. Whatever it is, the concept is the same. You paid me to do a service, you paid me to do a job, and I did not do it in accordance with the contract or the expectation. So you could take me to court and sue me for breach of contract.
Wow, that's really interesting. But before I came here to the show tonight, and let me say this first, on Table of Change, we cannot just say good experiences. We have to share the bad ones because our aim is to change it. The bad stuff will not make it bad for your business, especially if the owner stands up and say, this is not what my brand is about. I went to Wendy's just before I came here to the show, and I got served. I got my food in good timing. Well, for me, if I have my cup in my hand for a drink, if you're taking too long, it tells me that I can go and get a drink. I drink some, and then I can go and get another one. I met this gentleman there being served. I got served before him. The other person got served before him. So he asked the lady, where's my food? I was here for a long time. And there were some papers, receipt on the counter. And she took the receipt and grabbed it and said, your food coming right now. And the gentleman,
Wow.
and I went back. I was walking on. I said, why did you do that? I turned around. I said, that you're not supposed to do that. You should not speak to him like that. You know what he did? He took his receipt, went to the cashier, and got his monies back.
Mm.
I think that's an appropriate action for that kind of response from an employee who is paid to serve.
Paid to serve. And I think here, I'm saying to him, they need to give you your food free for that kind of service. And the reason why it repeats itself over and over again, because no one lose anything by giving bad service. It's just they don't even care. And so I like when you say it's a contract, because that's really what it is. It's different for me now. You have a contract when you're serving me. And so
That's right.
Customers, we need to know our rights. We need to know, and not in a rude way. We don't have to settle for bad treatment.
Well, you shouldn't. When you say you don't have to, you basically shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
Because no matter what the business is, what name they brand themselves as, bad customer service is the formula for failure. It doesn't matter, whatever the business. Because if you did not need customers, you wouldn't open a business. Because you would eat it all, you would do it all, but who can pay you?
Wow.
Who can pay you? So the truth is, no matter what business you're in, the legal profession, the medical profession, the storekeeper, all have customers that make their business succeed. All. And so if you have a rude staff who treat your customers badly, I would rather you tell me you pay them and let them go. Because one bad staff to your customers could ruin your business, because that's all they will remember. That's all they will remember. No matter how good the food was, no matter how, they may even throw away the food when they get outside, because they did not like the friendship or the talk. You know, people have different reactions to different things. And I know you will understand me when I say people go back when they were happy with what they got the first time.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's a one-shot deal. And they will tell others, listen, man, don't go over there. Don't go over there, because they're rude. Or if you go expecting them to be rude to you. And so people listen to people, and they could affect your business. One bad staff could mess your business up, especially if you're not around.
Yes.
Because if you're around, you say, listen, no, this is not at all. This is intolerable. Go home. Go home. You can pick up your check on Friday, but just go home. But if you're not there and that kind of service continues, soon your business will have no one coming in because they don't like the service they get.
Wow.
That's it.
There's a question.
No magic.
Yes. There's another question.
The question that she's asking, how did your educational career prepare you for your political journey? And what were the parallels in these two different paths?
Well, in my view, education is the basis for success in the world of business or work. You don't have to have a degree to be educated in the area that you work. And so education, in my view, is learning to live or applying what you do to make a living. You don't have to have a degree to be educated. So, education is lifelong living, or it causes you to learn how to live. That's basically what education is.
Right.
Teaching you how to live.
Wow.
And if you think a degree is education, you're mistaken.
Wow.
A degree is not education. A degree is a certificate to show that you went to some school. But education is the way you are prepared for life or living. That's what education is. Because some people are smart, but they never went to any school. I'm talking about formal school. But they could run circles around those who went to university and come back. So there ain't nothing to do with the paper on the wall.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mr. Gray remember or heard the phrase growing up in Acklands. I always can remember my aunts and them saying it, you better have mother's wit.
Yes.
Because if you don't have mother's wit, I'm sure you heard that, right?
I heard that, and I know I needed a little more than that.
This question will line right up with what Mr. Gray just said. This person said, Mr. Gray, what do you think about the greater concentration on training in the technical field, like BTVI? Do you think we need more of those? What do you think about that?
Well, I think that whatever profession or trade you're in, the better or the best way to give maximum of your work.
I think you might have to repeat that. Something happened. I don't think. Can you repeat your answer, please?
Could you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Okay. I was saying that whatever you do, and I'm not sure I can repeat it the way I did it the first time, but whatever you do in keeping with your training or profession or otherwise, the bottom line is, I think you need to do it to the best of your ability.
Right. I think we were trying to.
Go ahead.
We were saying, that BTVI is a technical school. And, I think, I don't know, but like the last results, like how we keep saying the kids are, so many kids are below the sea level. And maybe that is so because all of the kids, everybody is not academically inclined. There's some kids who are good with their hands. And so this question was, do you think we should push for more technical schools so that the children maybe could, from grade 8 or 9, they can start going to the area that they are better in instead of everybody trying to get these GCSEs?
Well, I have been around long enough to tell you that most parents want their child to be doctor or lawyer or accountant, or in other words, they hammer that in their heads from when they're in primary school. And that's so wrong. I have 5 children and I have never forced any of them to do what they now do. None. They tell me what they want to become, and I help them to become that. I don't think any parent should say, oh, you have to be a lawyer, or you have to, because if people are forced to do anything, they will not enjoy their work. You have to do what you like. And if parents understand that, let children do what they like. Now, if people like doing nothing, that's not what I'm talking about. Because there are a lot of students who are not students. There are a lot of children who would rather just stay home and play games. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about preparing them for life. They need to find something that they enjoy or they can live with and make a living by. But they must enjoy it. If you do not enjoy what you do for a living, you will fail, if only emotionally.
I think I have a caller on the line. Let's see if I might have to. Tamara, you can go ahead. I'll try to reach her. She has a question.
Okay. Mr. Gray, the question,
yes, ma'am.
How do we attract our Bahamian college students that are away? How do we draw them to come back home instead of now staying in the other country? How do we get them to come home? How do we attract them?
Well, that is the kind of difficulty that I am faced with here in Canada. And I'll say why I think so. I've spoken to students almost around the country from time to time, Bahamian students. And there is a thread which goes through generally all that they say, and that is, I don't come back because I have more opportunities here. And that may be very true. And I don't know how to fix that because it's almost like a preference that you, I guess, decide once you finish school. But there's always something tugging at my soul when I hear that, because if everybody look at money to make up their minds to serve, we will have very few servants. I believe that giving back to your country is as noble as making plenty money in another country. And so for me, it's almost a personal thing. The sacrifice you give to serve your country will pay off, if not to you, to your children or your children's children.
Wow, that's right.
But if you give your service to America and Canada or whatever, some other country, England, what have you done for your country? And that must be, in my view, something that every Bahamian want to do, to give back to their country.
Yes.
So when you go away and get your big education and you don't want to come back home to help those who are less fortunate, you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't peg everything to dollars and cents, you know? And that goes back to service. There are some things you cannot pay for. And so when people get education and they don't want to go back to help those who are less fortunate in their own country, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. It doesn't matter the money, because I understand everybody wants to make a nice living, but money should not be the end all, the beginning. You got to feel, in my view, an obligation to serve your country at whatever level you can.
Yes.
So if money is the only thing that makes you tick, oh, you on a bad wicket, bro. There's got to be something that attach you to give back to those who help you to get where you're going, so you go back home and help somebody else to do for them what somebody did for you.
Wow. We have a call
And
on
that's
the
why
line.
I have always been in the service business. I could have done so many different things, but if
Yes.
you notice, everything I did was serving people,
Yes.
giving back. Mine, I made some money along the way, but I am a social mechanic.
Oh, yes, yes. Can
And
we
that's
have,
what I did from I start to work, teaching,
yes.
law. I just give back. And if you give back well enough, hello?
I think somebody mic is open. I think we have a caller on the line. Let's just see
Okay.
if we could fit. You can go. A caller on the line, Miss Russell.
Yes, hello. Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay, I was listening to Mr. Gray talking about customer service and all of that. I didn't catch the first part of the program, but the next part I kept that topic, customer service. I feel like, Mr. Gray, I feel like I was given a very, very bad customer service of a case I would have given to your company, your law firm. 17 years ago, I lose my son Kenneth Senior. He was killed by some police officers here in Los Angeles. And during the coroner's court, I took the case to Mr. Gray's company because I feel that if something would have worked out for me. I used to call Mario, my little David. And the court ruled out, the coroner's ruled out accidental. And Mr. Gray assured me that he's win that case for me. And that case drag on. They never get no further than to the coroner's court. Didn't get to go to Supreme. Every time I check, I go to the office, I check, they said, no date yet, no date yet. And the time came when I went back, that case, I couldn't get that case no more because I was disappointed when Mr. Gray told me that the case was statute bar. Being ignorant, I didn't even know the meaning of statute bar. And then I get home and ask my family what is statute bar. They say the lawyer couldn't get a court date and it take too long and the case thrown out. They said that really devastate me because Kenneth has a child and this child now is now 17 years old and I guess I need to seek some guidance from him because he's not crazy, but at times I just can't get nothing sensible out of him. He feels as if his daddy just died and he may well die too. Because, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but I feel like I had a poor customer service, Mr. Gray.
Well, I don't know who you are, and it doesn't matter. If you feel that way, I am sorry. But there are some things lawyers cannot do. Because you go to a lawyer don't necessarily mean that they will succeed in getting what you go after, because it depends on the facts of the case. Now, if you say to me that you were not represented well, that may be your opinion. But see, lawyers are not the judges of the facts. The judges are. So if you go to court and don't win, it don't mean the lawyer did a bad job. And I don't even know what you're talking about. So your case is not what I'm addressing. I'm just saying to you, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And it has nothing to do with the lawyer. It's to do with the facts of the case. Now, I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest. So I don't want to get into that on the show, but you could always call me, because I have a law firm that functions. And if you were not happy with a lawyer who did the case, that stops right in my lap, in the sense that you can always let me know why you think so. But having said that, I will just end by saying every case that a lawyer takes, he cannot promise you he will win. It can't be. Because if that's true, you don't need a judge. So when you go to court, you have to be expectant and hope that you win. But sometimes you lose, because the lawyers do not judge the case. They put the case to a judge, and the judge might agree or disagree. And that's the system that we work within. So because a lawyer may not win a case, don't mean he's a bad lawyer. Maybe the facts were against the person he represents or represents. So there are a lot of factors to be considered. And so lawyers have to do their best, because they swear to do that. But it doesn't mean everything a lawyer goes to court for or with, he will win. Some cases are just that bad. You can't win them, but you do your best. Now, if you tell me the lawyer didn't do his best, in your opinion, I will have to see what happened or what went wrong. But every lawyer in my firm, they are taught to present the case to the best of your ability. Because you don't judge your own case, somebody else is the judge. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But that is what the practice of law is. And any lawyer, madam, who could tell you they cannot lose in court, he is trying to take you for a ride. Just go along.
So we want to thank that caller for that question or that comment. I think there's another person on the line.
Mr. Moxie?
Good night. Mr. Gray, I had a question for you.
Yes, good night. Thank you.
How was the switch from teacher to lawyer, and how did that affect your overall customer service skills?
Well, there was a big break between being a teacher and a lawyer. And so the connection I only make because of the experiences I gained from one to the other. But being a lawyer, being a teacher, they both have similar characteristics, and they are in some ways very different. And so customer service runs through both professions. In one area, you serve the students.
I'm not sure. I think
Mr. Gray, the microphone may be on mute. Please check the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Could you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
We can hear you.
I don't know if I could repeat what I said. Maybe the question needs to be repeated.
Yes, no, I
don't
think
wanna...
he was just trying to find out, how did you transition from one position to the other, from a teacher to lawyer? But I think you did answer, because you said there was a break in between.
Yes, and they're different practice.
Yes.
The teaching practice is totally different from the legal practice. And so once you go through teacher training, there is a training which is attached to your being a teacher. And then for legal training, there's that training which prepares you to become a lawyer. And they're different. They're different training. But they all, in my view, focus on customers you have to serve, because customers must be first, not you or even the work you do. The customer is king. I know you heard that phrase before. So whether it's teaching, if in teaching, it's the student. In the legal professions, it's the client. So it ain't about you. That's the bottom line. It's about who you serve and the service you render. Now, a lot of people believe that because you go to a lawyer, he must win.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not the practice. Because if a lawyer promised you he can win, the most you should take from that is that he will do his best.
Right.
Because any lawyer who go to court and tell you, I must win this, because you can't tell the judge that. The most you could do is put the best case you have and hope you win. So when a lawyer tell a client, oh, we gonna win this, that's what he hopes. And sometimes it turns out that way. But no lawyer should tell his or her client, we must win this case. Because that's the only thing he can do is promise he can do his best. But he is not the judge. And when you have other people to decide what you do, I mean, you'll be foolish to make that kind of promise. So you just promise to do your best, and clients will know when you do your best. They will know. And that's as much as I'll be able to say in those two scenarios.
Yeah.
But they're so different. Teaching is totally different from being an attorney. And that's why you have to go to school for both.
I think the callers are like me, Mr. Gray. We're just fascinated to just the different caps that you wore and the fact that you were an educator. Well, I guess you will always be an educator. You can't be was at some point in time, right? Because you're always helping in terms of building our nation. So you're always educating and you're always teaching, even as a member of parliament and cabinet. So it's a field that I guess it just fascinates us that you are a part of. And getting to know you, Mr. Gray, what would you say to 15-year-old Alfred? If you were able to talk to 15-year-old Alfred, what would you say to him?
I believe there are 3 words I always use as my own mantra. Stay focused, stay prayerful, and work hard.
Stay focused, stay prayerful, and work hard. And with that, Mr. Gray, we appreciate you being on Table of Change. We appreciate each and every one of you that called in with your great questions. Thank you for our listeners via Zoom. Thank you for keeping your microphones on mute and being a part of Table of Change. Mr. Gray, on behalf of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, I just want to thank you for being who you are and what you bring to our nation in terms of being a nation builder. On behalf of myself, Tamara Fox-Smith,
Jacqueline Fernanda Moxie.
Thank you for being on Table of Change. Next week, Table of Change, 8 p.m.